Good evening, all. I'll call the meeting to order. Good evening. My name is Richard Stewart. I'm the Mayor, and on behalf of City Council, I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's public hearing. It's a public hearing into the bylaw that will be introduced to you in a moment by the City Clerk. Council for the City of Coquitlam has given first reading and has directed that this public hearing be held. Staff from the City's Planning and Development Department will present a summary of the proposed bylaw, and then the floor will be open to anyone in the audience who wishes to present his or her views on the proposed bylaw. Those that have pre-registered will be given the first chance to speak. I stress to all of you that this is a public hearing. It's an opportunity for anyone who has a view on the proposed bylaw to make that view known to council members. Council members are here with an open mind and are here to listen to your input. No one has prejudged the outcome of these applications, but there are some rules. First, it's not a question and answer period. It's not an opportunity to debate the merits of the proposed bylaw with either council members, staff, or with those in the audience who might be opposed to your particular view. We ask that each speaker please restrict their comments to the proposed bylaw and be as brief and concise as possible. We are asking speakers to respect a 5-minute time limit in order that everyone who wishes to speak is able to do so. Speakers are permitted to speak more than once. If they've still got some good stuff, they simply have to get to the back of the line if they're providing new or additional information. We ask that the audience be respectful of each speaker and allow that speaker to make his or her point without interruption. To that end, we hope for no clapping, cheering, booing, or jeering of any of the presentations tonight, other than the comments that my council colleagues make about me. As chair of this hearing, I reserve the right to conclude any presentation that does not relate to the bylaw, that becomes abusive in any way, or becomes repetitive of views that the speaker has already made known to council members. Please note that if you have something written that you want to be part of the written record of the meeting, you must hand in that submission to the city clerk's desk prior to adjournment of the related item on the agenda. Under law, council cannot receive any additional information, written or verbal, or discuss the application after adjournment of the public hearing and prior to finalization, either rejection or given for the bylaw being given fourth reading. Immediately following adjournment of the public hearing tonight, we'll convene a regular council meeting so that council can give consideration to a number of things on the council agenda, but also to the items on the public hearing agenda. However, if during the public hearing council requests further information related to an item, consideration of that item will be deferred pending receipt of the requested information. I will now call on Ms. Dutta to introduce the bylaw on tonight's agenda and Planning and Development staff to make a presentation.
Thank you, Your Worship. Item 1 is an application to amend City of Coquitlam zoning bylaw number 3000/1996 to rezone the property at 430 to 450 Westview Street from RM4 multi-story high-density apartment residential to RM6 multi-story high-density apartment residential. This is bylaw number 4747.
We don't see many from RM4 to RM6.
Good evening, Your Worship, members of council and members of the public. My name is Amber Nicol, and I'm a development planner here with the city. I'm here to speak to you public hearing item number 1, the zoning bylaw amendment number 4747/2017 for 430-450 Westview Street. Just to begin, to introduce the location. So it's located south of Austin Avenue on Westview Street in the Lougheed neighborhood. It's about a 5 to 10 minute walk from the Lougheed SkyTrain station. The current zoning on the site is RM4, multi-story high-density apartment residential. There will be no change for the OCP designation. It currently is high-density residential. Of note, this is consistent with what's proposed under the draft Coquitlam Lougheed neighborhood plan. To talk a little bit about the details of the proposal, it's rezoning going from RM4, multi-story high-density residential apartment residential, to RM6, multi-story high-density apartment residential, essentially a more intense version of high-density. 2 residential towers are proposed with 465 units. These are proposed in 135 market condo tower and one 22-story rental tower. The applicant is requesting the Housing Affordability Strategy Density Bonus for purpose-built market rental. Right now, the site contains approximately 100 existing rental units, and the applicant has prepared a rental relocation strategy to assist with the relocation and help them transition to a new home. The project is proposing a replacement rental ratio of 2 to 1, and also there's a portion of a significant pedestrian connection that will be built as part of this project, and this is connecting the neighborhood with the Lougheed SkyTrain station. Looking now briefly at the site plan. So on the south side, the site is where the rental building will be located, and again, it's 22 stories. The north side of the site will be the 35-story market tower. The center of the site is dissected by the walkway, and this includes a public plaza, that's located along the interface with Westview Street. So trying to create a nice public pedestrian area here again for people to move through the neighborhood and help build some of those connections that were envisioned on the BLNP. I'm also dissecting the site. There is a common amenity area that will be available for residents of both towers. And I believe the applicant will be speaking more to this. And so to conclude with the recommendation, staff recommend that council give second and third readings to bylaw number 4747, 2017. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one registered speaker. It's Nadia. Councilor Zerillo. Okay. It's Nadia Said with Christy Dikio. You do it.
Good evening, Your Worship, Member of Council. My name is Nadia Said. I'm with Christy Kiakis Architects. I'm here today with the rest of our design team, Mr. Christy Kiakis, RXO, and I'm with Mr. Hani Laman with Cressy Development and Ms. Jennifer Stamp with Durante Crook. We're just going to go over the scheme from our point of view to how the design developed and how we approach certain design challenges. The project, as the planning department noted, is located in the Coquitlam neighborhood area with close proximity to the Evergreen line and to the Lougheed Town Center. The project is one block to the south of Austin Avenue and about a block to the east of North Road. Currently, there are two 4-story wood frame buildings on the site with 101 units. We are going to replace this aging building, the two 4-story wood frame buildings, with two residential high-rises. One of the high-rises will be as a condominium tower, and the second one will house 201 rental units. Looking around the site and the views and the buildings that are surrounding the project, we have to the north side of the project the high-rises within a few blocks away, the Brookmere Towers. We do have the Lougheed Town Center to the west, and we have the other high-rises like the Executive Plaza and the Encore Tower to the south, and also part of it is visible from the east view. Certain things to highlight about this site. This site we found it unique in what it's offered. It's offered about 500 feet of frontage facing Westview, which helped us with locating the two buildings with very good separation between the building and between the adjacent properties and existing buildings around it. There is also a significant drop in the topography from the north to the south side. That was about 50 feet in drop, and we took advantage of that to open the view towards the south side. So we located the lower building on the south side, and with that we could open the view to the Tower 1 that is located on the north side of the site. Also, as mentioned by the planning department, there is the right-of-way that was planned to be located on this side and to be connecting the east side to the west side. So this right-of-way, we chose to locate it in the space between the two high-rises, taking advantage of the amenities that were offered in between and providing some kind of one continuous landscape area that connects the amenity to the walkway. Also, to take advantage of the slope, we located the two parkades for the two towers with careful selection to the location of ramps so that we work with the grades and we provide very minimum retaining walls. We could provide all the required parking numbers for this project, 639 stalls, and we are asking for no relaxation on the parking for this project. Also, the project provided, both of the buildings provided units with access to the street in terms of townhomes on the condo tower and 3 bedroom units accessible from the street for the rental tower. Amenities were located in 3 different locations on this project. The shared amenity in the middle between the 2 towers, and there is additional amenity space at the top of Tower 1, the condominium tower, and there is more amenity space that is exclusive to the rental building, and it's located at level 1 at the southwest corner of the rental tower. One of the items I would like to kind of highlight here is that with the amenity for Tower 1 being located at the top and using all the surrounding decks for amenity as well, we chose to locate or create additional outdoor spaces somewhere in the middle of the tower by insetting certain floors and providing extra outdoor spaces. For the rental tower, the outdoor decks were created by stepping the building towards the south and providing more decks that are facing the south side of the building. The ground plane shows how the amenity building was developed further with more curves and with the right-of-way was part of that design. So the curve were extended to the landscape and to part of the architecture of the rental tower. In total, on level 1, there is about 9,300 square feet of outdoor amenity. And there is about 3,800 square feet of shared amenity, and there is 3,200 square feet of amenity that's only for the rental tower. This image is showing how the design developed for the right-of-way, engaging the shared amenity with the right-of-way, and providing the access to the west side, which was first when we started looking at this project with the planning department. The planning advised that they would like to see this connection on the west side to be like the Kiefer Street in Vancouver. And we took that and developed it further, making that connection point more of a possibly gathering space rather just a place to pass by and connect to the west side. On top of the amenity room, we're proposing a green roof just to complete the overall landscape that will be visible from both towers from the top. As for the amenity for the condo or condominium tower, the 3-level space that is proposed at the top of that building, we are going to provide many type of uses, including like Japanese garden and more like a big sunroom. We're also providing decks all around these spaces with possibility of opening the decks and adding them to the inside by using a lot of overhead doors, and for that we are extending the roof lines to provide coverage over these decks. Just one slide. For the condominium tower, the typical floor plate will have 9 units. There are 4 units of 2 bedrooms, 1 2-bedroom and a den, 2 units and 1 in a den, and 2 1-bedroom units. For the rental tower, the typical floor plate will have 10 units in total. There will be 3 2-bedrooms, 5 1-bedrooms, and 2 studios in the typical floor. We added some information about, in this slide, about the rental relocation strategy and the objective that Cressy wanted to achieve in that relocation strategy report that was submitted to the city. The main thing that we started with is that we were going to double the number of units in the new developments. So we could achieve that by doubling the 101 units to 201. After adding the 3 bedrooms, they were before 202. We provided a variety of unit sizes to serve different tenants and family formations, and with that, the rental rates will vary and will allow more people to move into that building. We also aimed at minimizing the hardship and the inconvenience of the relocation process by certain items like providing an alternate rental units in some of the Cressy other buildings that is available for rent, waiving the cost of 2-month rent fee, paying utility connection, and giving priority to the existing tenant in the future rental building and discount to purchase in the condominium building. Some of the comparison to highlight is that we are replacing 2 wood frame buildings that are about 36 years old with a newer concrete building that's durable with updated services, elevator, and a lot of amenities that is currently lacking. These are some images for the amenity that will be exclusive to the rental building. So this is the kind of an image from the north-west corner, is showing the decks and the setbacks in the middle of the condominium tower, the amount of green that we wanted to add, and the stepping in the rental tower to provide decks on the south side. Also on the east side of the rental tower, just going with the curvature of the rental building and the concept that we used on the ground plane, we reflected that on the rental building by using a stack of curved balconies. And this image also highlights the connection that is we think it's going to work to provide more of an interesting area that people could use not only to connect to the SkyTrain, but rather to maybe sit and observe and possibly socialize. This is mostly what I wanted to cover for today. Is there any questions?
So can we go to Councillor Asmundson? Yeah.
Thank you. Just the question on your rental relocation strategy, I like what I've seen here. Are you also going to have a staff person assisting the tenants through the rental relocation? So if this goes through and they were to seek rental, just not in the Cascadia buildings, but any other rentals, would there be a person that they would have direct contact with that would help them in their search or in their move and arranging for their needs?
Well, I think there will be that. Maybe Mr. Hani can cover that item.
We realize you're with the architect and now over.
Yeah, so Hani Lamam with Cressy Developments. I'm Executive Vice President. We do have a resident manager that will be available to facilitate any of the coordination that is necessary. I don't think we're going to be able to help with the searches. Obviously, we'll leave that to the tenants, but we will be able to provide options within our existing portfolio. In the Coquitlam and Burnaby markets, we have just over 750 units, and we're looking to add another 100 units of existing rental product to our portfolio. So there will be a lot of options within our portfolio. I checked with our property management team, and on average, we get about 30% turnover in our portfolio. So, in a 1 year's time, we will have sufficient units available to accommodate all of our tenants.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson.
Could you stay up there for a second? In this very tight rental market, you get 30% turnover? 30% per year?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
We get the turnover and we fill it very quickly. It doesn't sit empty.
Yeah, because I was very concerned about, with the portfolio of 756 units and a vacancy rate around 1%, how you were going to accommodate 100
We
suites.
we can accommodate it through the national turnover. In addition, the extra 100 units that I mentioned is actually a strata windup. So it's an existing condominium project that we will acquire and convert to rental. So we will have 100 units of available new rental product in the vicinity.
And that'll come on board around the same time that these
About a year's
will be
time.
looking for. Okay, well, I'm feeling a lot better. Thank you.
Which is the opposite of the way it normally goes.
How's that? Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Are there any other speakers to this item? Are there any other speakers to this item? Third and final time, are there Councillor Zarello?
So timelines would be the first one. So we potentially have two buildings coming. So which one would come first? The larger market ownership or the rental tower? Sorry, I guess it's for the proponent.
Thank you for being willing to come up even though you weren't one of the speakers.
Of course. The construction will happen at the same time. There will be phasing. The rental tower will come just by virtue of the progress of construction will be completed first. Subject to us being able to obtain occupancy for that tower, we'll have the rental tower available for occupancy in advance of the condominium tower.
So rental tower will be coming on first.
Yes.
Okay.
That's just by virtue of the
It's a shorter
The
tower.
size of it,
Yeah.
yeah.
2 weeks of floor.
But we will see breaking ground on the rental tower either at the same time or before the.
It will all happen at the same time, just by virtue of efficiencies of construction.
My other question was about the pool, and I just want to confirm that's for use for both buildings, correct?
Correct.
Cool. I wanted to ask about smoking. I've asked this before now that we're starting to get market rentals. It's a real issue with people that rent is other people smoke, and we have potentially marijuana coming on as being legal soon enough. And this can be a health concern and a hazard. And I'm just wondering, is there any ability to have, or is it something that the industry is talking about having restrictions on smoking in these rental units? Because it can actually be a real quality of life problem for tenants.
At present, I can tell you that we have no smoking policies in our buildings. Definitely our newer buildings, it's hard to implement in older buildings. So our newer buildings all have no smoking policies. I cannot tell you right now what we're going to do about marijuana. It is definitely a concern for our industry. It's from both from a livability perspective and from an insurance perspective. So this is a major issue, and the industry is struggling with it.
Okay. Because it's something that I am concerned about. Even like you said, it's virtually impossible in the older buildings. But even in the new buildings, it's hard to. If you've got a neighbor that just won't not smoke, it's very difficult. So I'm interested to know more and learn more, and hopefully the development industry is looking at it.
We certainly are.
I just want to confirm it's 36 years old. These buildings.
Correct.
Yeah. And what is usually the natural turnover of buildings such as this?
Well, I mean, in general, wood frame buildings are designed for a 30, 35-year lifespan. The these buildings, unfortunately, by virtue of the style of architecture and the terraced nature of the construction, they have not withstood the test of time very well. Just the water ingress issues that we've had, the challenges on these buildings have resulted in them being very difficult to maintain.
Okay, and I don't think I read a number in this, but they said that there's a lot of maintenance needing to be done. Is there a number that if this rezone didn't happen and these buildings stayed, what the obligation would be for the current owners?
With the magnitude, I mean, this, I don't have a specific number at hand, but this has been a very expensive building for us to maintain. It's just become uneconomical for us to do that. I mean, as you can imagine, it's very hard for us to take income-producing property and demolish it and shut it down for 2 years while we incur construction and financing costs. So I can only say that it is for us to be able to justify taking down existing revenue-producing asset and put it on hold for 2 years while we construct a new building can only demonstrate how bad the situation is today.
Well, thank you very much. And Mayor Stewart, I did have a question for staff as well. So my question is around the zoning. So the RM6 is the opportunity to have unlimited height. Is that correct? I guess I want to understand the difference between RM5 is what, a 20-story cap? So RM6 is the unlimited. Is that why we would go RM6?
Mr. Fuji.
Through the chair to Councillor Zerillo, that's correct. The RM6, there is no maximum building height within that zone.
And was there any ever discussion about RM5 on this development as a zoning?
No, it's always been RM6 is the zone which is accordance with the plan for the area, which has always been the basis of the discussion, conversation between staff and the applicant.
Okay. I'm interested because when I first came on council, the RM6, the wording was a little bit different, and then we got the RM6, even, I'm not sure if it's still the same, but it used to say that it was for town center. It was kind of made for town center, that unlimited height. So I'm just wondering if that is still written in our guidelines for RM6, the reference to town center, or if that's been removed from our RM6 zoning explanation.
Mr. McIntyre.
Yeah, the multifamily residential zones were revisited some years ago. This when we, my recollection is when we added the density bonus provisions to enable those to go up. But that was in light of not just the town center, but the transit corridors, like the Coquitlam Lougheed corridor. Those RMs, those higher density multifamily zones were intended and envisioned for those areas.
Do you ever see a place for RM5 in the Coquitlam Lougheed neighborhood plan? I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. Do we have any RM5 zoning, or we just changed OCPs at this time? Or we're just looking at changes in OCP?
Yeah. It's true the RM5 zone speaks, this is the intent for the RM5 zone. It provides for the apartment developments between 8 and 20 stories in height. That would, that's always there as an option, depending on the size of the site. A smaller site with a density may not be able to achieve a higher building elevation or building height. And there may be other areas in the community where that lesser height may be more appropriate, perhaps further to the east and close to Austin and Maillardville as well.
Okay. So last question, I'm not saying that this would happen, but if this is rezoned to an RM6, really, there's the potential to be as high as you want, right? As long as we're within the FARs that are allowed, like.
Through the chair, that's correct. It's similar to the C4 zone for city center, the C7 zone in the Coquitlam Lougheed transit corridor. The RM6 is sort of the companion multifamily residential zone. That's the zone that doesn't call for or is based on having a commercial base, which the C4 and C7, you have commercial at grade and an apartment tower above. So it's a companion zone in terms of density and unlimited height. It's just the same approach as the C4 and C7.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Start again. Are there any other speakers to this item? Are there any other speakers to this item? And the third and final time, are there any other speakers to this item? Seeing none, I'll declare this item and the public hearing closed. Take a couple